Have you ever just felt the weight of everything you own? You know that constant low-level buzz of anxiety that comes with protecting, maintaining, and just accumulating stuff? Well, today, we're going to explore a pretty profound shift away from that weight. We're moving from ownership to something much lighter, something more connected: stewardship. This quote just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling you get watching a sunset or maybe standing by the ocean. That sense that the most incredible experiences just can't be bought or sold or fenced in. They kind of belong to everyone and at the same time to no one at all. And that really brings us to the core question of this whole explainer. What if that modern ache we all feel, that anxiety, that constant pressure, isn't really about what we don't have, but about our deep obsession with claiming things as mine? All right, so let's dive in and really unpack this. It's a feeling I think a lot of us know, maybe a little too well, that relentless pressure to define ourselves not by who we are, but by what we have in our name. I mean, look at how this breaks down. This thing we have with titles and fences and deeds, it's not just some philosophical idea. It's a direct line to our stress. When we attach our identity, our very sense of self, to what we own, we start living in this constant low-grade fear. Fear of losing the job, losing the house, losing our status. It is absolutely exhausting. So, okay, if ownership is the problem, what's the alternative? To find one, we're going to step back in time a bit and listen to the ancestral wisdom of the Umatilla, Walla Walla, and Nez Perce tribes. They offer a completely different, and I mean completely different, way of seeing the world. This is just such a powerful metaphor, right? It immediately reframes the whole Western idea of owning land as, well, kinda absurd. It suggests that drawing a line on a map and saying, this part is mine, is just as pointless as trying to bottle up the wind and sell it. It just doesn't work that way. And this right here is the heart of that worldview. For them, the land isn't some object or a resource to be carved up and sold off. No, it's a living thing, a relative. So the question of selling it isn't just a bad deal, it's a moral impossibility. It's as unthinkable as putting your own grandmother up for sale. Now, as you can probably imagine, this fundamental, radical difference in how to see reality, it set the stage for a massive historical collision, what the source material calls a great misunderstanding when European settlers and the Plateau tribes first met. And this chart just lays out the two realities so clearly. On one side, you've got the Western view. Land is property, it's a commodity you use to get wealthy. For the settlers, any land that wasn't being farmed or built on was basically just wasted. But then, on the other side, you see the indigenous view. The land is a sacred relative, and it's always in use by the deer, the salmon, the plants. They weren't just speaking different languages. It was like they were living in two completely different worlds. But here's what's so fascinating. When you really dig into it, you find this shared truth emerging from these two seemingly opposite traditions. Whether you call the creator the Great Spirit, like the tribes do, or God, as in the Christian Psalms, you end up in the exact same place. We don't own this place. We're just guests, tenants, given this huge responsibility of taking care of it. Okay, so why does any of this matter to us today, with our mortgages and our busy modern lives? Well, because embracing this idea of non-ownership can be, well, profoundly therapeutic. It offers a direct path away from that anxiety of possession that we talked about at the beginning. And that brings us to the solution: stewardship. Now, it's really important to get this right. This isn't about being passive or just letting things go. Stewardship is an active, higher calling. It's about pouring your care and your energy into things with the deep understanding that they aren't really yours. They're just on loan, entrusted to you for a little while. And the difference is just so clear when you put them side by side. An owner looks at a forest and sees a commodity, board feet of lumber, a dollar amount. A steward looks at that exact same forest and sees a living system, a source of life, a legacy for their grandkids. The owner lives in constant fear of losing their asset. The steward finds true freedom in caring for it, without that heavy burden of having to possess it. So this all sounds great, right? But how do we actually do this when we've still got mortgages to pay and careers to build? Well, that's what this last section is all about. We're going to look at a simple, actionable tool you can use to bring this whole philosophy into your everyday life. It's actually a pretty simple 3-step daily practice. So first, acknowledge the source. Just take a moment to realize that everything around you, your car, your home, your body, it's all made of borrowed elements you didn't create. It's all on loan. Second, shift the verb. This is a tiny but super powerful mental trick. Instead of saying my desk, try thinking this desk. It subtly shifts your brain from a mode of power and dominion to one of relationship. And finally, number 3, do a daily sunset audit. At the end of the day, just ask yourself, how well did I care for the things that have been entrusted to me today? When you start to practice this, you begin to notice the truth in the simplest things. You take a breath, and you remember, the air isn't yours. It's this precious, shared gift. You feel the ground under your feet and realize the earth is spinning, all on its own. You're part of this system that is so much bigger than you, a system you don't have to control. And in that moment, you realize your time here is temporary. You're a passenger on this incredible journey, not the driver. And that thought, it isn't scary. It's actually profoundly liberating. So this leaves us with the final, really important question. It's not about what you'll own, but about the care you'll take. How will you leave your little part of the world, your garden, your community, your relationships? How will you leave the seat clean for the next person?